Hello, soul sister. Welcome to Midlife Love Out Loud, your one-stop love shop. I am so excited to share with you Sandy Weiner. Sandy Weiner's in the house. Another amazing episode with a topic that we really haven't explored a lot. Crazy that we haven't explored this, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let me tell you about her first. She's the founder of Last First Date and the Woman of Value. And she's an internationally known TEDx speaker, dating and relationship coach, women's empowerment coach, author, and podcast host. She received coaching certification through the prestigious Coaches Training Institute and is also a certified Neuro Linguistic Programming coach. Some of you might know that as NLP. Sandy's approach to coaching is holistic, encompassing a hybrid mix of cognitive behavioral therapy, life coaching, NLP, intuition, creativity, and nonviolent communication. Yes, this woman has the chops. She knows a lot. And she has been published in many publications, including Mind, Body, Green, Psychology Today, The Good Men Project, the Chicago Tribune, and Your Tango. And she's been featured on air for a special dating segment on the Daily Buzz. And I said she had a podcast. Well, she's got two podcasts, Last First Date Radio and the Woman of Value podcast. This woman really is out there doing amazing work. And she believes it's never too late to have the life and love you want. Hello there, Sandy. So good to have you here.
So great to be here with you, Junie. Thanks for that very enthusiastic introduction.
I'm so excited. You know, Sandy and I met recently, and this woman, you're going to hear, she's just like so clear and grounded. And, you know, Sandy, I love your heart. I love how you show up, your presence, and you're doing such amazing work in the world of love and relationships and helping people across the board. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to know you, and I'm thrilled to have you on my podcast. I was recently on your podcast. So we do that in this world. We I'll be on yours, you be on mine. It's great. It's really great. So one of the things that like I said, we haven't really, we've touched on and we've had some conversations about, but haven't really dove in deeply, is about communication. And frankly, in my groups, I always say that's the mother skill. If you are not communicating well, good luck, right? So we are going to be talking about how to courageously communicate in dating and relationships today. And Sandy has come up with 4 communication archetypes that I think are awesome. Can you tell us about those 4 archetypes?
Sure. So there's the lioness, or the lion if you're a man, which is...
That's what I am. I took your quiz. I'm a lioness.
Yes, I figured you must be.
You hope anyway, right?
Yeah. And those of us who have done some work on our communication style and have learned to be more effective communicators are lionesses. And those are the more assertive, clear communicators who really can process information and speak clearly about our needs and our wants and not take things as personally. The next one is the scorpion. And the scorpion is the aggressor, the one who communicates with anger or, in your face. And I'm gonna tell you this because I'm gonna get back at you. And
let me tell you what's on my mind.
Right.
Let me show you how right I am.
Yes, so it's right or wrong thinking. And you see many people in power who have that kind of scorpion style. And then we have the koala, and that was a really interesting one. So koala is passive aggressive, and I never knew this about koala bears, but they are so cute and cuddly, but then they can, really attack you. And so the koala is not clear with their communication. They'll tell you things in a sarcastic tone. They'll hint around things. They hope that you kind of read their mind, and it can be really confusing to speak to a koala.
Yes, koalas drive me nuts.
Yes, me too.
It's like,
I used to be one.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
I'm a recovering koala.
Yes, same. And I think for, many of us start out, we're trying to speak up, but it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable. Yeah. So we don't want to say exactly what we need because then we'll be viewed as needy. So we're going to hint around it and hope somehow you're going to guess, which is bad and then are ineffective. And then the last one is the puppy, and the puppy is the passive. Many of us are passive communicators. We just don't speak up. Maybe we tried to speak up in childhood and we were shut down, and so we just stay quiet. And I definitely was a bit of a puppy in my past as well, where, if you're not honored for your feelings early on or in relationships with men, often there's a lot of fear involved in communication, but it doesn't have to be that way.
I think I'm a recovering puppy too. I've got a little puppy in me. I still have a little
Uh,
puppy in me. Well, it's
mm,
so true what you said about our past. I was bullied. I was ridiculed. I would be interrupted. My mother, as much as I friggin' love my mom when I was younger, I would be mid-sentence and she would just interrupt me and start talking to somebody else. And I'd be like, what the heck, And what I internalized, especially with the kids and the bullies, was I needed to be really quiet and be really careful with how I spoke and when I spoke. So it makes sense with what you just said, that there are reasons why we act the way we act. And that's why we do the work that we do, Sandy, right? Is to help people see where they came from so they can be in recovery and move into the roar in a good, healthy way, right?
right. And I think that, I just want to say that I have a lot of compassion for all the communication styles.
Yeah.
We can't help how we grew up. We didn't decide to be born into the families we were, or to get to know the friends that we got to know, or have relationships. It's a learning process. And so
Yeah.
there's a reason why we become who we become, but like you said in the beginning, it is never too late to do this recovery work, to really learn the skills to be a more effective communicator and build healthier relationships.
Yep, exactly. And we must shine a light on what's going on. Otherwise, you're sitting across from someone on a date and the way you're showing up and the way you're communicating is going to affect your intimacy, your connection, whether it feels good or not, all of those things. So such great way to kind of chunk it down and see how we might be showing up with how we are communicating. I'm curious, what, like with men and women, do you find patterns there, and how might men process information differently from women with this topic?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people believe in equality, that men and women are exactly the same, but we're not. As much as we have similar capabilities, we don't have the same brains. And so it's really important to understand that for the most part, men are much more linear than women. They are single task oriented, which we're more multitask oriented. And so often we'll think that a man isn't listening when we're talking to him. And because he's in the middle of something, or he'll compartmentalize his work with, his from his relationships. And so when he's at work, he's got the work bucket working. And then when he's with you, he's got the you bucket working, and they don't always mix. But
Mhm.
maybe you're sitting at work thinking, oh, I'm thinking of him all day. Why didn't he text me? Why? You're right. So we can make assumptions that can lead to the dissolution of a relationship. We can really self-sabotage if we don't understand each other. And this isn't just about how men and women process. I have a daughter who has ADD, and she processes very differently from me. She's reactive, she's emotional, she doesn't think before she talks a lot. She's getting better. She's 20, almost 27 now. But when she was growing up and she was a teenager, it was really challenging. She would also leave things everywhere. So she'd come home from school and leave her bag on the floor as soon as she came in. And I didn't really understand it until I had a coach who showed me how to understand from the perspective of her. And so this is an exercise that I recommend everybody do with anybody they're in a relationship with, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. But you can draw a triangle on the floor, like an imaginary triangle, and you stand in your position, and if you have like an issue with somebody and you just tell yourself the issue, then you stand in the position of the person you're in relationship with, and you see it from their perspective and how might they be seeing it. And then you stand in the third part of the triangle, the third point, which is the relationship itself. And looking down on who both of you become in that relationship also says a lot. So maybe a person brings out the aggressor in you, or maybe there's triggers that come up. Like with my daughter, there were a lot of triggers. She doesn't care about me. She doesn't listen. She doesn't value me. She just ignores me. And so it's old stuff that I had to work through.
Yep.
And then standing in her position, I realized that my anger at her was shutting her down as well. And so if I were her seeing me, I would also shut down. So it really helped me to get into her perspective. So, that's part of it. I think we translate people through our own lens. And so, if a man is doing the same thing that my daughter did, which is open the door and then keep it open because she doesn't know that it wasn't closed. There was a story once I heard a woman talk about her husband, and she said he would stand in front of the closet after a shower, drop his towel on the floor, pick his clothes up, and then move away and leave the towel there. And she'd get so pissed off every day, like, pick up the damn towel.
Mhm.
And she did not realize that he had no clue that he was doing it. Like, even if she told him, he didn't see it anymore. And
Oh my
very
God,
much
you're bringing back a memory where when I was married and I had a big what's it called, a laundry basket filled with laundry, and I purposely put it on the stairs because you can't walk around it. He'd have to bring it up. It was like there couldn't have been a bigger sign on this needs to go up. It was obvious. He stepped over it. Now, I don't really know if that was necessarily where he didn't see it, but he didn't get it. I needed to connect the dots. If you see something on the stairs that needs to go up,
Right.
can you please? So anyway, I interrupted you. Tell me more about that story with the
No,
towels,
it's
because
the
he
same
didn't
kind of
see it.
thing.
He
You
didn't know it.
right. We just, like, some of us don't see certain things. It doesn't mean you're a bad person or you're ignoring someone on purpose, but maybe it's not important to you. Maybe you do one task and then you're moving on and you left the other task behind and you will not think about it again.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person who will hold 7,000 things in my head at once. And my son often will say, like, what are we even talking about anymore? I don't even know.
I know. My boyfriend's like, whoa, like we were just talking about this. Now we're over here. And I'm like, yeah, I know where I am.
So
but he's
that's
like,
another
what?
point. Right. So women talk in stories and men talk in like headlines. They'll get to the bottom line really quickly. And we see the connection between all of these things. I'm telling you about my business thing that happened, but then I'm telling you about my friend that I saw. And then I saw, oh my God, and then I ate a donut. And then it's just like, it's all connected. So men are trying to track. They're trying to track, like, where am I supposed to comment? How do you want me to
poor
show
guys.
up? Right. But so we can learn how to talk to each other and say,
Yep.
hey, I'm going to say a lot of things, or I just need to download this. There's a lot going on. The only thing I want you to comment on is the last thing I share, or, I just want you to listen and not try to fix it or, comment. And so we have to really advocate for what we need, but also understand that they're not going to know what the hell's going on if we don't tell them
exactly
what it is that they should be tracking, or blame them for something that doesn't come naturally to them unless we really are clear. And not just clarity, but I want to say one more thing, which is clarity about why it's important to us. Because often we'll say, can you put the towel in the laundry? And they'll be like, okay. But they don't really understand why that's important to us, because it's not important to them. Like, so what if the towel's on the floor? If you said to your boyfriend, your significant other, when you put the wet towel in the laundry, I feel so supported. That's a really different statement from, put the damn towel in the laundry. You leave it out all the time. I can't believe you left it out again. And nobody responds well to being nagged, to being shamed, to being blamed, it's not motivating.
Especially men. Men want to feel like they are showing up for you and are
Yeah.
making you happy. So, criticism, what is it? The fly and the honey and whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's like, honey, sisters, honey, and let them know what it means to you, and to share. When you do this, it brings joy to me. It helps ease my day. My partner takes my dog out sometimes when I least expect it. The dog is my dog, and it's not necessarily his favorite thing to go out and take the dog out, but he knows it eases my day up sometimes, or he sees me juggling. And so, I'll of course praise him and let him know, when you took that out, you just created so much more spaciousness in my schedule, and thank you, and that of course reinforces it as well. So that's if they did something. But if you want them to do something, it's the same thing. Let them know the impact on your life and how you feel about it. So totally. So you're talking about women getting their, being heard, and getting what we need and all that stuff. How can a woman listen better to a man? Because I'm assuming that's important too, right?
Yes.
What are some tips about women listening to their men better?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because I think we often think communication is all about how we speak, and it's really about how we listen, how we don't speak, and when to speak, when not to speak. So listening better means don't interrupt, let a man finish what he has to say, because also men are not raised to be as relational as we are. Like we are primed for relationships from a very young age to have these, deep friendships. And, men can get together and not talk about anything emotional with their friends, even after a breakup. Like they could just be shooting the breeze, going for a jog together and not, wait, we would never do that. So if a man is opening up and he's saying what he has to say, let him finish, let him say,
Yeah.
even just going, oh, wow, can interrupt, and it's kind of counterintuitive because we want to let him know we're listening. And another way to listen well is to put everything away that's a distraction. We often are so distracted by our phones, by just anything that's going to pull you away is going to make a person not feel heard and not feel safe in the conversation. So even saying out loud, I'm here to hear you. Like, I want to hear what you have to say, and I'm going to be present with you. I'm putting my phone away. And so, like, even on a first date, to be really intentional with how
Yep.
you listen, and also not listen. So there are times when we want to interrupt because they're sharing way too much, and we can gently interrupt and say that sounds really hard, and that sounds like a conversation for when we know each other better. And
Mm,
right now, can we focus on travel, on, change the topic?
yeah.
So the redirect and things like that, but just listening intently and then reflecting back, you know, what you're hearing, to let a person know that you're really hearing what they say, or maybe you're not. Maybe, like, I was on a date recently where the guy really wasn't understanding anything I was saying. And he's like, yeah. So that's this. And I'm like, no, but I got too tired of correcting. I was just like,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
okay,
Okay. Moving on.
we're just not going to see each other again. But
Yeah.
he told me a lot in his interpretation and not checking in. And so checking in is a big thing, like
Yeah.
just making sure it's a good time, making sure that they are focused. If they are in the middle of something, they are not going to hear you,
Yep.
and you're not going to hear them. So, I think those are some really important points.
Absolutely. Such good stuff here. Oh my God, such great stuff. So much juice here, so much wisdom. I love that you're sharing this. It's huge. All right. So there's got to be you've given so many tips already, but I'm curious, what are some other quick communication tips that women can use when situations are challenging, when maybe there is a little bit of drama or discomfort? What are some quickies that you can offer this soul sister here?
There's a lot. I think the most important thing is to pause.
Mm,
We tend to get triggered by any hurtful comment, or a lack of comment when we need it. Somebody doesn't show up for us. They don't tune into what we need, and we think, oh, they can read our minds because they can't. Just spoiler alert.
Sorry, girls. But
If they
you
loved
thought
me, they would know
they
this.
only, yeah, right.
Yeah, not true. People
Mhm.
can love you and have no clue what you need because you haven't told them. So pause, process. Really important to take a moment and say, is this a me thing? So in every argument, there's a yours, mine, and ours. There's me, you, and him, and me, you, and no, yours, mine, and ours. So it's the together, right? So mine, what's my part in this? And that's the first place I think everyone should look. What's going
Yep.
on for me? Is this an old thing? Does this have anything to do with this guy? So for example, there was this post in my Facebook group where a woman was really, she'd been dating a guy like 6 months, and she had made plans for Labor Day, but it's like a yearly thing that she does with all her friends. And she said, look, you could come, but I don't think you'll really enjoy it because we all get together every year. And he said, yeah, no, I'm not interested in that. Thank you. And he had his own plans, but he didn't say, hey, you could join us. But she had already told him she had plans. And
Right.
so he didn't include her, and she was hurt. Should I bring it up? Should I not bring it up? And so process, like, is this really something I need to bring up? And is this some abandonment thing I got going on from my childhood? I'm afraid he doesn't value me enough. Is this really true? And so also just ask yourself, like, what evidence do I have that he doesn't value me? He's shown me in every other way. Then chances are that this has nothing to do with me. He just making his own plans because I have plans. That's it. So do you really need to bring up every single topic? No. But if it involves the two of you, where it really is something where he stepped on an important need of yours, he said something really hurtful and wasn't aware, maybe,
Mhm.
then it's time for a conversation. But
Yep.
a conversation where you're now processed. What is the primary issue here? What am I feeling? So the way to do that is, this is the nonviolent communication piece where you first look at all the judgments you have about the person, because we just get right into judgment. Oh my God, what an idiot. He's so insensitive. He always does this. He never does this. All men, all women, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we
The
gotta,
list goes on.
right? So we got to clear all that out. And in nonviolent communication, they call it the jackal. It's that stuff that gets in the way of thinking clearly because you're triggered and you're just your amygdala is like going crazy. Then you now are centered. What is the issue here? So you get a clear issue without any feelings, needs, anything attached to it. So maybe you're dating somebody who keeps coming late um, to meet you. So the clear thing is not you always come late and you're never going to be on time, because that makes a person never want that. There's no possibility for change if you say you always or never. So the clear objective statement is you came late to dinner, or you've come late to dinner the last 5 times. Okay, there's nothing attached, there's no charge. Now you've got to be clear, like, what am I feeling about this? I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling sad. So there's a whole bunch of feelings to choose from. And I give my clients a feelings and needs chart so they can work this out. And so there's a lot of feelings that we never express that are part of emotional literacy that is really important to get really clear, like what exactly is going on for me. Because often we start with anger, and anger has subdivisions.
Mhm.
Anger is usually covering something else, and it's usually some sadness and some feelings that feeling of abandonment or feeling
Yep.
like unvalued. So the next part is, what need of yours wasn't met? And maybe your need was for accountability. Maybe your need is for clear communication. But when you identify your feelings and your needs in that clear objective statement, now you're taking responsibility for what's happening for you. You're not accusing. At that point, you can then make a request of the other person. And you can also hear their point of view. And so it's all about the processing, pausing enough. And sometimes it's like, I need a break. I'm upset right now, but I don't want to talk about it because I'm still confused about what
Yep.
the issues are.
Yep. Time out.
Yeah, it's a timeout. But you have to then have a time in. A lot of
Yes.
times people are
Yes.
like, I'm
Right.
going away.
Yes. Right. It's not like I'm, time out. I'm going to go watch Netflix. It's, it's
Yeah,
really, it is that pause. And I love that because we can't have that beautiful communication and sharing the way you just described if we don't know where we're coming from, if we don't know
exactly.
what we're really feeling, what just happened, is it old, does it remind us of something else? I have a similar communication style that we call it clean talk in Shadowworks, very similar. And so we need to know what's going on inside of us to be able to let somebody else know what's going on inside of us so they can really understand it, because it is about us sharing. And what I love about your style of communication and what I teach is it builds intimacy in a safer way, instead of going you versus this is what just happened. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm needing. Can you do it? Can you
Right.
make this happen? Is this
Yeah.
something that you're willing to try?
Yeah. And maybe we can brainstorm together ways that you can be on time. I recently had an amazing conversation with a new sponsor for my podcast. This is, I had no idea who these guys were, but they make a CBD product that I'm now going to be having on my show. And I had a Zoom conference with the two founders of this company. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that they both had been on this incredible journey to self-discovery, and both of them got married in the last year. And one of them was saying that the biggest thing that he learned was taking responsibility for his share. He said whenever he and his wife argue, they immediately look at themselves first. And it's so beautiful to hear that from a man,
Yes.
number one, and also from total strangers who I'm like, they're going to be, I'm sponsoring them. They're sponsoring me. But it's like, I opened this conversation up, and then it's like, let me tell you what I learned about relationships. And they also said something interesting, and I think this is important for your listeners to hear, which is that the people that they married became more beautiful because of this intimacy, that it wasn't about this type, that one of them was really an avoidant and really just found every reason to end every relationship. And he said this woman that he married wasn't his typical type, but because they were able to have these deep conversations, she becomes more beautiful every day to him. And I think,
Oh, that's so
isn't
wonderful.
it?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So good. So good. So much here. Oh my God. And I have a zillion million other questions. So we'll just have to have you back.
Happy to come back.
Because I know that there's just so much here, and you just are nailing it one thing after another. And I know you have lots of tips. Meanwhile, you've got an awesome quiz to help people figure out, are you a lioness, a koala, a puppy, and what was the other one?
Scorpion,
right. That's not
the one
that's
we
not
don't want to
me. So
remember.
I've been stung, but I have not.
Yes.
That's not me. Why don't you share with our listener what the quiz is? Because I took it and it's awesome.
Oh, thank you. So it's the 4 communication archetypes. You will discover what your archetype is. And it's not just to discover. So let's say you're a lioness. You're going to find out how to communicate with people who are not a lioness, or a lion, because we are in communication with different styles of people. So you'll get a series of emails that will help you understand your communication style. And I also have several courses that you may be interested in taking that will deepen your ability to be in relationship, in a healthy relationship. And I'm also about to launch my communications course, which will be a comprehensive course that will go into depth into all of these archetypes and how to be more effective in our romantic relationships, because that really is the key. Like you said at the beginning, it is so much the key to healthy relationships, less stress, less anxiety, less what do you think he meant? I mean, we don't know what he meant unless we ask him, right?
Yeah. you're just bringing up something that happened with my partner the other day. And, we were sharing, we're about to do a course together. And long story short, we're always working on ourselves and bettering our communication and our intimacy and relationship. And, he said something like, this is just so hard. And I said, what's hard is when we're in the drama. What's hard is when we're not communicating well. There's effort in growing, there's effort in learning, but it's hard when we're fucked up. It's hard when we're being a scorpion and stinging somebody, and then the person we love gets that ouch. That's hard. So for us to continue to grow and learn and expand, just like that man says, she's more beautiful every day. It gets easier when we have the resources, the inner resources, and we're able to share it with our partner or prospective partner. So I friggin' love everything you just shared.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so good. Soul Sister, make sure you get her quiz, find out what type you are, continue to learn and grow and expand, because really, this is the mother skill, man. This is the mother skill. And pausing, I want to underline that before you react. If something happens, take it home. Is it a me thing or a we thing? Is it something going on inside of you? Is it old? Is it from something you experienced? Or is there something else going on? We need to take that time. So good tips. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Sandy.
Oh, thank you for having me. And lastfirstdate.com, you can just go there and the quiz will pop up, and there'll be a direct link in the show notes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Your bio and your quiz link will be in the show notes, but
Awesome.
that's a great way to go right there, right now. All right, Sandy, thanks for being here. You're so welcome. All right, Soul Sister, that is the episode for today. I hope you were taking notes, and I'm going to encourage you to get that quiz, continue to grow and learn and expand, and, onward and upward. See you next week.
Bye.